your point of view, and it may not be my point of view, but we have the right to be heard. And we will only defeat this Tory government if we work together. And that's everybody. That's everybody. And one of the things that we're standing here fighting for is the freedom of speech, which is being stopped by that man in that number 10 Downing Street. Okay, so our next speaker is Anne Miller.
My name is Anne Miller. I am a citizen of Cambridge, of Great Britain, and of the EU. No deal is mad. So why do intelligent people want it? Because though we may try to deny it, Boris and Rees-Mogg and their ilk are intelligent. They are intelligent. So why? Most people who voted Leave did so with good intentions, but not all. I think behind the scenes there's a group of ultra-rich individuals and businesses that hate the way the EU was starting to clamp down on them hiding their wealth from the tax man. The UK government has long had no interest in stopping this. David Cameron's dad was in the tax evasion business, and only the EU is powerful enough to try and fight it. Rees-Mogg has already made millions since the Brexit vote. These people don't care about business, they don't care about ordinary people or the well-being of the country. They have their money offshore. They have homes in multiple countries. They care about money, their money. And they hate the EU's power to regulate, which is stopping them making more money. By cheating and polluting the rest of us. Their allies are people, malevolent actors like Russia, like China, like Trump's regime, who want to weaken the EU as a major player on the world stage. The scary thing is that the dream of both groups is that we have the hardest possible no-deal Brexit. But that is not the end of it. They want chaos to break out. So then the government has to suspend regulations to keep food in the shops, medicines in the hospitals, and prevent riots, as we've already seen in leaked documents. Much of our food and trade comes from Europe via Dover. So if we crash out, we'll have no option but to sign up to the worst one-sided Make America Great Again trade deal in history. The pound will plummet, British businesses will fail, but that's what they've prepared for, so they'll make a fortune. Big business is horrified, but they'll cope because they're already setting up your offices in Europe, moving staff, transferring investments. So the long-term consequences for us of this no-deal plot are horrifying. A really significant drop in tax revenue, in jobs, with all the social disruption that that decline will bring. But that doesn't worry these no-deal extremists, because then the only option will be for us to become a tax haven. A low tax, low regulation, low oversight jurisdiction, a sort of British Virgin Island on steroids, with plenty of money spent on police and prisons to keep the restive population under control. Oh yes, and let's divert the blame onto the EU and onto immigrants. The vast majority of people, leavers or remainers, rich or poor or in the middle, are horrified when they realise what's going on. So our absolute priority must be to come together, to fight this, to unite before it's too late. Thank you.
Everyone, and solidarity from disabled people across... Sorry, is that better? Okay. Hello, everybody, and solidarity on behalf of the TC disabled workers and disabled activists across the UK. We are terrified at the prospect of a no-deal Brexit. I woke on, was it Thursday? Well, 1642, I thought. But now we're thinking 1933, and don't forget that disabled people were some of the first under the T4 people under the T4 scheme of concentration camps and murders under the Nazi government. We are terrified. In the last 10 years, our rights have been eroded. Leave us out of EU with no rights. We already have Boris Johnson, before he was Prime Minister, going off piece saying, Arbeit macht frei, work is the cure for all. Mental health can be cured in a flash with work. We would love work and employers who understood, who could work with us, who understood the social model of disability, which means we're not the failure, the weakness, the lack of resilience. We want to work, but we need adjustments. We're now at an average of 22% of the working age population who is disabled, but the number of mental health is soaring under this austerity, under the threat of no Brexit, under Windrush, under the terrible tragedy. Sorry, I'm having a mental break. Can I put my arm in? Yeah, thank you. At Grenville, still people in temporary housing, traumatised. 3 years on, we can't let this happen. No to the coup. If Brexit must happen, it must happen only with negotiated consideration. Repeal Article 50 and start again. Thank you. Solidarity.
Thank you, Stuart. And next will be May. May, you're next. Taking from Stuart's message, there will be consequences. Look out, Boris Johnson.
Thank you, Dave. This is just a reminder, Boris, from Cambridge, that we do not live in an absolutist or a totalitarian state, but we do live in a state which is limited by the rule of law. It is unlawful and unconstitutional for the government to suspend Parliament. The Claim of Right 1689 stated that the fundamental constitution of the kingdom is one of a legal limited monarchy, which the regal power may not be exercised in violation of the laws and liberties of the kingdom. The constitution, it stated, may not be altered into an arbitrary despotic power by advice of evil and wicked councillors. Does this remind you, Boris, of what you recently did by taking your merry men to exert pressure on the Queen and her council? You, the Prime Minister, who has in the last week has shocked this kingdom by trashing democracy, avoiding the legitimate questioning by MPs who represent constituents, a Prime Minister who has not been given a mandate by the British people in the first place. But from a Prime Minister who mocks Muslim women, who stands by and watches the people of Kashmir tortured and human rights being violated. But really, this says it all. A foreign minister then, and now the Prime Minister, who could not get the release of an innocent mother and wife, Nazanin Zahdari, out of prison. Your time is up, Boris. Your premiership is going to be a very quick one. This country is united, Cambridge is united, for Parliament to be heard to deliver a good deal Brexit, and better still, to remain in the EU. Cambridge gives you the red card. Your premiership is up. You are out.
The message from you is to stay united and be united. That's the only way we're going to beat B. Johnson, is to be together. Let's stop the feud with the many. Introduce yourself.
Good morning, Cambridge. Good afternoon, in fact. My name's Ozzy. I'm from Unite. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a bit of a mainstay for demonstrations in Cambridge, apart from the last couple of years. I've been on the bench. Do you know why? Because Unite is not sure about Brexit. It's like, I work 39 hours a week in a factory. I'm the chair of the manufacturing sector for London and Eastern. I represent workers in pharmaceuticals, process, textiles, chemicals, engineering, manufacturing, you name it. It's not automotive or aeroplanes, I represent it, okay? And our position on Brexit is not clear. But I'll tell you what we are clear on. We do not want Boris to have a bloody coup thing, whatever is going on with the Queen involved. I don't vote for the Queen, by the way. Yeah, she's never got to get my vote again. Yeah, so we're absolutely clear. So we do not want Boris to have a coup. We need a general election now. And I say to Daniel, no more shenanigans in Parliament. Just call a vote of confidence and vote him out. And the leader of the opposition forms a government. And that's Jeremy Corbyn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ozzy, as ever. Succinct, to the point. Vote them out. That's the answer from Ozzy. Okay, so we've got Roger Roberts from the Green Party.
Hello, friends. I'm here on behalf of the Green Party in general, but the Green Party in Cambridge in particular. I've got a short statement here from Jeremy Caddick, who is the parliamentary candidate for the Green Party. But before I start, I was going to say that I was actually born in Lincolnshire, and I was born in Boston in Lincolnshire, which of course registered the highest Leave vote in the UK. And here I am amongst so many Remainers, so I'd like you all to give yourself a round of applause, if you would. And thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Now, I'm just going to read this, that is from Jeremy Caddick, who is our parliamentary candidate for Cambridge. And Jeremy says as follows: the Cambridge Green Party shares the outrage that all progressive parties feel at the actions of Boris Johnson, and we support with all our energy exactly what you are all for. We support the efforts to unite and resist these attempts to bring about an undemocratic no-deal Brexit. This is a moment of crisis. A crisis for our system of government, for the fabric of our society, and for the integrity of our public life. And it's imperative that we act quickly, decisively and powerfully to resist these forces that menace us. This would be a moment of crisis even if Brexit was not threatening us. The climate emergency demands that we take radical action to bring about a fairer and more just society. Society needs to be fair and equal for us to be able to cooperate to fashion new and sustainable ways of living together on the planet. A no-deal Brexit and a Johnson government threaten all our efforts to do that. He will place it into the hands of Trump's administration. A trade deal with Trump would trash our food standards and the protection of our environment and of our wildlife. If we are to have a future at all, we need to urgently build a better world, and we can only do that together. Therefore, we say unite and fight this. Thank you.
So the message from the Greens is to unite. Yes? Okay. Mick, if you can't hear, do you want to come forward a bit more so that the people at the back, let's do that.
Everyone, 5 steps forward.
Come forward. Keep coming forward, come on.
Everyone, 5 steps.
Get closer, come on. So that people at the back can hear, come on. Come right in. Come in. Okay, I hope that might be a bit better. Perhaps the speakers can speak up and everybody will be able to hear. Sorry if you're being deafened down here. Okay, Mick Black is going to speak next. Mike Black.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Black. I'm here to oppose the Tory crash-out Brexit on October the 31st, which would be a dog's breakfast. And, you know, I look at the way that Boris Johnson became our Prime Minister, and I thought of the Monty Python Life and Brian film where King Arthur was explaining why he was King of the Britons. A sword was given to him by the Lady of the Lake, and a peasant paid by Michael Palin said, well, strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. And I then thought about how Boris Johnson had become Prime Minister, chosen by a handful of racist, geriatric bigots who make up the membership of the Tory party. And, do you know, I thought, well, perhaps some farcical aquatic ceremony would have been a better system. Now, the rogue has decided to prorogue. And prorogation means that the options have narrowed in now. There isn't a great deal of scope for clever legislation from Parliament. And there now is an option that we must unite around. The first thing is we must have a vote of no confidence in Parliament in Boris Johnson. And the next thing that must happen after that is we must have a new Prime Minister. So this means that we have to unite and we have to ask the Leader of the Opposition to form a government. And any MP who says they're against a no-deal Brexit on October 31st, if they fail to unite around this and they fail to give Jeremy Corbyn the chance to go to Brussels and negotiate an extension or a revocation of Article 50, if they fail in that, then they will be showing that their pretended concern about Brexit is nothing compared to their attachment to the austerity politics and the suffering that we've had imposed on us for so long. And I say that when Jeremy goes to Brussels to negotiate this thing, I want him to take John McDonnell with him to negotiate a treaty on tax avoidance, to join in the efforts that the EU is making to stop greedy, wealthy Tories avoiding tax, the tax that the rest of us have to pay, and starving our public services of funds. Now, in the referendum in 2016, I'm sure that every racist and nationalist and extreme neoliberal Tory in the country voted for Brexit. But I think we've also got to think about the 52%, because if 52% of the people of the voting people of this country are racist and nationalists, then we have a problem. And we need to have a think about how we're going to win people round. And Even if you wanted to leave on no deal, would it make any sense to leave on October the 31st when there are insufficient customs officers in place to make anything work as an independent country? And the Tories have had 3 years to prepare for no deal, and what they have done in that time is they have been closing down Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs offices, not just in Cambridge but at the ports as well, and they have been getting rid of the officers who have the skills that can make a success of this. Now, make no mistake, David Cameron's governments are to blame for the mess that we are in now. The suffering caused by cuts and austerities, the 0 hours contracts, the insecure jobs, the factories that are dominated by gangmasters. And these are real grievances. They made people desperate for change, any sort of change. It wasn't true that the EU was to blame for these sufferings, but these grievances are real. It was the Tory government that was to blame for these sufferings, and the only solution to the problems we are in now is a general election where we get rid of the Tory government and we elect something progressive to bring us forward to a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly Green. She don't like Tories either. We might as well say it again, and none of us like... Okay.